Lyft is catching some praise on Wall Street for its above consensus quarter and bullish profit outlook for 2024. Let's get right into all this with Lyft co-founder and president John Zimmer. John, great to see you. A little bit of, I think, a different conversation than we had with you 3 months. What surprised you in this quarter?
I can't say it was surprising. The team executed incredibly well. We listened to the market feedback. We prioritized near-term growth that would also lead to long-term growth. We got more focused. We slowed hiring, and that's why we had a great quarter.
I want to zoom in on the scooter business. Is the scooter business, do you view it as core or nice to have in this environment?
So we see ourselves as a full-on transportation solution. So actually much bigger than scooters is bikes for us. We have City Bike in New York City. As those of you who live in New York City know, it's on almost every other street corner. And it's a really large and essential part of transportation for those living in New York. We have those systems across the country, and we have exclusivity in many of those bike sharing systems. And what we're seeing is that people who maybe hadn't tried Lyft earlier come and download the app, take a bike ride, and then use us for ride sharing.
John, it's Julie here. I want to get back to the cars for a moment and talk about price and demand, right? Because we've definitely seen prices go up. And yet your numbers showed, and your competitor Uber's numbers seem to show, that demand is relatively robust here. To what do you attribute that? And are you getting any kind of price sensitivity from customers?
Sure. I mean, we're coming still out of, some lows from the pandemic. We had, post-COVID high on rides and riders. And so we're, of course, transportation is critical, is essential for people to get, obviously to get around as they start traveling more. We saw airport trips, roar back with our highest percent of our overall trips being airports than ever before. And so, it's what we said when the pandemic was happening. Look, transportation is going to come back as it gets safer, as more people get vaccines. Actually, if you normalize pricing for, reducing the 55-cent surcharge we had for gas, prices actually came down. And so we're feeling good about the business, good about being in transportation, and glad to put up the results we did.
How much pressure is there now, John, is there to cut expenses? When you talk to your investors, is that the first thing out of their mouth?
No, I think, what drives profitable growth? Cutting expenses is one way to get more profit, but it's not the only way. And so every dollar matters, yes. And we're being, more and more scrutinizing every dollar that we spend. But we grew up that way. We didn't have as much money as our competition in the early days, so we're comfortable with that. I'd say what's been, the most important driver of the recent performance is the fact that we're prioritizing the projects, doing less, and having more focus.
And some of the focus has been on improving the driver experience, right, John, in terms of new technology, mapping technology that helps drivers have less idle time, for example. What kind of initiatives are you still working on going forward that you guys are willing to spend on that are going to further push that driver experience?
Yeah, it's great question. One, as you mentioned, is the mapping experience. So back when we started, the majority of rides, or all the rides, you had to go use another navigation service to get where you're going. That's not as ideal for the driver. And then that doesn't allow us within the app and within, using all the data we have to create the most efficient routes. So now with Lyft Maps on more and more rides, we can provide a better experience to drivers and more efficient routes. The other thing is providing them more transparency on the trips that they have the option to take. So how far is it? What is the amount they'll get paid for it? And so giving them that information up front aligns their information and incentives with that of the rider community.
On average, John, the drivers on the platform, how much are they making right now?
$37 an hour on average, which is quite high, historically. Something, we feel great about compared to other app services or apps like delivery. It's materially higher.
You put out a pretty big target on the earnings call last night, $1 billion in operating profit by 2024. That's some rough math, maybe 300 million or so above some estimates that I saw out there. How do you get from here today to that number?
Yeah, I mean, one is there continues to be, and we expect continued industry growth. and the other is, shipping a lot of these products and services that we're working on that will increase our leverage and efficiency in the marketplace.
John, good to catch up with you. Thanks for being here. John Zimmer is Lyft co-founder and president. Appreciate it.